What's up, a Cinema Shogun here, and as I was scrolling through the internet yesterday, just looking for random Rings of Power interviews to laugh at because they have been absolute comedy gold. You know, there's not enough good stand-up comedians out there anymore. There hasn't been any really good stand-up specials lately. So what I do when I want a good laugh is I go and look at the interviews that all of these weird cast members are doing for the new Rings of Power show on Amazon. Well, as I was scrolling through the internet looking for other interviews from these cast members, I came across a headline from theonering.net that reads, "The Rings of Power is earning trust in the fandom." Now, when I read this, before I even dived into the article, when I read this, I literally spit my sweet tea out all over the place. And then I had to spend the next 15 minutes drying up the sweet tea off the ground and off my kitchen counter because I absolutely lost my composure when I read this headline. Like, it is a blatant and utter lie, and it's like, I almost can't even put into words what this headline made me feel inside, because where within the fandom of The Lord of the Rings, of Tolkien, where are they gaining any faith from the fandom? Every single freaking trailer they drop gets ratioed into oblivion. Every single interview they drop gets absolutely destroyed and dissected and just picked apart. Much like in my last video, go check it out. But it's like the audacity of these people to put a headline out here like this that is just blatant fake news. Now, the OneRing.net, it used to be a site that was like credible. You know, as a Lord of the Ring fan back in the day, you could go to the OneRing.net and you trusted the news that you were getting there. You trusted the articles that they put out. It seemed as if these people actually cared about the Lord of the Rings, and they actually cared about Tolkien. In fact, I would think, if this was years ago, I would think the OneRing.net would be the people setting everyone straight about the lore. But no, they have turned into nothing more but woke corporate shills. In fact, I will compare the OneRing.net to places like Collider and Screen Junkies. You know, if you were a Marvel fan, DC, Star Wars, or just if you were just into movies in general, at one point you probably watched these channels. And they used to have thriving fan bases. But then around the time that The Last Jedi came out, it became more apparent than ever that everyone working for these companies were just all woke idiots, shills, shilling for Disney, acting as if The Last Jedi was the best Star Wars movie ever, that anything Disney did, they could do no wrong. And it became apparent that a lot of the people who we thought were really passionate about these franchises and about these movies were really just failed Hollywood actors and journalists and what have you that just decided to act as if they were nerds and they were into this fan base because they wanted to grift off of fandom. So the reality is, a lot of these people are nothing more than grifters who are grifting off of fandoms. And the OneRing.net has turned into nothing more but the Collider of the Lord of the Rings universe. You know, Collider would focus on all types of stuff, but mainly, you know, the superhero properties and Star Wars. They had shows like, I forget what's the Sith Council or something. I don't even care anymore. The fact is that OneRings.net and Collider, it's like the same. They're both one and the same at this point. They were once respectable. Fans used to flock there to go get news and information and to just chill and hang out and have a nerdy, geeky time talking about movies. Just like people used to like the OneRing.net. But after seeing this headline, it's like I didn't even want to read through the article. It's basically pointless. If you're going to blatantly lie to me in the headline, then don't expect me to read anything else. Now, this actual article was written by someone named Kelly, also known as Killy, from YouTube. I believe she runs a YouTube channel called The Happy Hobbit. I want you all to understand that I am in no way, shape, or form trying to bash her. I don't know her from a can of paint. I don't really do the YouTube drama calling out other YouTubers, so I'm not trying to send any hate her way. In fact, she probably knows more about the Lord of the Rings than I do. She's probably a bigger fan than me. However, it's become clear that for some Lord of the Rings fans, not most of them, not all of them, but for a small portion, the message, the wokeness, the diversity, it's more important than their fandom of Tolkien. You see, for them, for a small portion of this fan base, it's like they're getting the best of both worlds. Not only do they love Tolkien, but they also love woke SJW propaganda. So when you smash them both together, they have, it's like everything they ever wanted. Now, this is a very small, very small portion of the fan base, almost a non-existent portion of the fan base. But I will acknowledge the fact that there are some Tolkien fans out there, or people who are very knowledgeable about Tolkien's world, who are acting as if they are okay with this Amazon series. Now, in my opinion, if you're a true fan of something, you don't want someone messing it up. You don't want someone tampering with it. And you damn sure don't want someone messing it up for the wrong reasons, with bad intentions. As far as I'm concerned, I'm very forgiving when it comes to a lot of movies. At the very least, even if a movie is bad, if I know that you tried your hardest and you tried to give us a good movie and your intentions weren't to preach to us and just, stuff the movie full of propaganda, then I will be more lenient towards that. I will be more accepting of that. There's plenty of superhero movies that came out back in the day that some people will label as garbage, but I'm more forgiving towards those movies, like the Fantastic Four movies, the first two Fantastic Four movies. I'm not talking about the really old one. The Daredevil movie. Hell, I liked the Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck. We had a freaking Kingpin who didn't look like the Kingpin that we knew and grew up watching. But when that movie came out, there was never a talk like, hey, everyone, you must come see Daredevil because we have a person of color playing Kingpin, and this is for diversity. No, this is what really needs to be done. It's like they didn't market the movie to you like that. So people kind of ignored the fact that Kingpin didn't look like your typical Kingpin. And yeah, I'm sure there was pushback back then. I was a little too young to be involved in a lot of that stuff, but even for me, it wasn't as big of a problem for me back then. And back then, I could imagine that, yeah, maybe Michael Clark Duncan was one of the best people, who auditioned for the role. He was a big, intimidating guy. He was well-liked in Hollywood. So, I didn't have as much of an issue with that as I have with this Rings of Power series, because the Rings of Power series, they're marketing the diversity. They're not marketing the show. They're marketing the talking points of the woke SJW crowd. If these people were, race swapped or something, and the main focus of the show wasn't on that, and the main focus of the marketing of the show wasn't on that, I would be way more forgiving about it. Now, although I would not, be okay with it. Like I've said before, I view the Lord of the Rings on a different pedestal. I hold it on a different pedestal than most of this other stuff in pop culture that I'm interested in. I'm mainly a Marvel guy at heart, followed by Star Wars and DC, but I love Lord of the Rings as well, but it's definitely not one of the main things I'm in, but it's one of those things that I really don't want to see tampered with. When it comes to Marvel, it's like there's so many different universes in Marvel now. There's different realities and galaxies, and you go through this time loop, and then there's this timeline, and there's this multiverse, and it's all over the place. So sometimes you can mess something up or mucky something up, and you can just erase it out of your memory because, let's be honest, reading comic books, sometimes there's garbage stories, sometimes there's good ones. So I could be, I could kind of chill and allow some movies to be garbage and not be as good as others when it comes to Marvel movies and things like that. But when it comes to the Lord of the Rings, I expect greatness. Greatness. I'm talking like freaking Mike Tyson here. I expect greatness. No, I expect greatness when it comes to the Lord of the Rings. And I damn sure don't expect anyone sitting here gaslighting everyone as if people are actually excited for this show. There is no excitement out there at all. The hype is building for this show, though. And I know that might sound like it contradicts each other. The hype is building for the show, but not in the ways that they think. People are getting excited to crap on this show. I'm getting excited to react to the show with all of you all because we know it's going to be a dumpster fire, and I feel like it's going to be an entertaining one. I feel like this is going to be one of those shows that you could laugh at, maybe sit back and just try to enjoy it for how corny and garbage it is. Because, I mean, they haven't given me any reason to feel like it's going to be anything else other than that. Every time the cast opens their mouth, all they're talking about is being an activist, and they're doing this and doing that, and all of this hippity hoopla. No one even cares about the actual source material. But just to quickly skim over this article, this woman says, like many, I feared Amazon was producing the most expensive TV show in history because they saw Tolkien's work as a cash cow, and they were going to milk it for all they could. Well, you don't have to worry about that. The Rings of Power is damn sure not a cash cow. In fact, they will be bleeding cash once the show comes out. They will not make a profit on this show. I don't see any way in hell they even thought they were going to make money from this. No one's going to sign up to Amazon to watch this. In fact, I'm going to cancel my Amazon account when this show comes out. Like I've laid out in past videos, go check them out. There's not a single lick of Rings of Power merchandise on any store shelves. Therefore, they're not making money off of merchandise. I don't see how they're milking this. You know, if anything, they've taken it, they've destroyed it, they've destroyed their one chance to actually maybe put out some quality content, and they have basically destroyed the faith of all of Tolkien fandom to the point where they will never, ever trust Amazon again. In fact, this show will make it harder for any other studio or streaming service moving forward trying to create Lord of the Rings content. It muddies the waters. This puts a bad tarnish on the Tolkien name. And I don't want to say like that's anything against Tolkien. I'm just saying it's going to put a bad taste in the mouth of viewers to the point where if 2 years from now a Lord of the Rings show comes out and it's actually good, people are going to be more hesitant to watch it due to this show. So I don't see it as, oh, they're turning this show into a cash cow, because I haven't seen any signs of them trying to make money off the show. All they're doing is they're basically driving off all of the people who would have actually watched this show. All of the people who actually liked Lord of the Rings, they're driving them all away constantly. And they're going to start bashing them as well. They already have. All of the fans are going to be labeled as toxic and ist and phobes because they don't want to see all of this woke nonsense pumped into their TV show. So if they viewed Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power as a cash cow, I think they would have made a product that everyone would like, and they would actually have merchandise on the shelves. Instead, what's more important to them is to use J.R.R. Tolkien's work, which is really not even his work anyway, but to use his name in order to get across their woke messages. Hey, just in case you didn't, get the woke messages that we tried to put across to you in Marvel and Star Wars, now it's going to be in Lord of the Rings as well. You have nowhere to go. Then she says, like many, I feared Amazon. Then she says, once the showrunners spoke, however, I was left with the juxtaposition of hearing from two people intensely passionate about Tolkien, to the point that they opened every day of shooting with a Tolkien quote and discussion, and the marketing that didn't convey that love and respect. Listen, every time the showrunners, every time anyone from the show involved in this show opens up their mouth, it absolutely turns me off. It gets worse and worse every single time. Like I said, I have nothing against this woman, but I damn sure don't see what she sees. I understand that sometimes for fans, it's really hard when your properties get destroyed. There's often a point of denial. Like, once the Force Awakens came out, I was in denial. I was thinking, hey, we have a bright future ahead, of Star Wars. And then The Last Jedi came out and my life was absolutely ruined. So, listen, I'm not falling for it. Maybe some fans will fall for it. But no, the Rings of Power has not gained any faith from anyone because everyone is still on the same page and believing that this show is going to be a dumpster fire and we're all going to come together and point and laugh at it and we'll make new friends and new buddies and we'll all bond over the fact that this show is garbage and we all put ourselves through the torture of watching it. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all on the next video.